I have Plant 3D open right now, and I'm opening an existing project that has some equipment and piping already modeled. The goal is going to be to route some cable tray to support the electrical needs for each of these skids that are already connected by a common pipe rack. On the left, you can see some of the piping specs that are available to me coming from ELECTROWorx. I'm going to pause here so you can better see the specifications that I'm selecting. There's a naming convention for all the B-line cable tray. First, it starts off with BL for the vendor B-line, then underscore, then two numbers. This number is the series of the tray, which defines the loading depth and the side rail height of the tray itself. Next is the series classification. So I'm currently picking from the aluminum series. Then the design of the tray, if it's venting, non-venting, or ladder type. And if it's a ladder type, how many inches between the rung spacings are there? For this demo, I'll pick the BL26 aluminum ladder 12 rung. In Plant 3D, to activate a spec, you can right-click the spec in your Project Manager palette and set it as active. Over on the right-hand side, the Dynamic Tool palette now shows me the options available for my selected spec. I have all the various options to me that are specified in the vendor catalog, if it's a straight, a cross, a vertical bend, a T, a fastener, a reducer, etc. To place a component, select from the palette, and then place on your screen with a left click. Here I'll show you again. Notice that when I place the component, I can also select the endpoint of my last tray to snap and place another piece sequentially afterwards. Fastener components that make tray sections electrically continuous are attached automatically and do not require the user to place them. We built ELECTROWorx to specify the correct fastener depending on which two pieces you're trying to connect. Here's another example. This time, I'm going to route more sections at once. I just selected my size range option on the ribbon. We use these size ranges to specify the width of the cable tray for our ELECTROWorx specs. After dropping two straight sections, I'm going to use a reducer component to extend the tray width. To swap what end I'm placing the component with, I'll use the N key on my keyboard to swap to the next attachment port. I'll do the same thing to this T section as well, so that the branch is facing the direction I want. Just a quick look at the data on each component. Here you can see the specific type of fastener that has been called out to attach the reducer and the T components together. I'll go ahead and place another reducer component. This time, notice how my small end doesn't quite match the end of the T, but when placing, Plant 3D automatically converts the component in my hand to match the required size. The same goes for any component. The size is mated automatically to the correct size required, like this next straight section. Let me show a couple more components that can be placed, like this vertical outside bend. I'll follow that up with a vertical inside bend so I can go back to being horizontal. And now I've got a good start on the routing path for the rest of my cable tray design. So in conclusion, here's an overview of the cable tray design that has some more progress attached to it. Next up, let's demonstrate modeling some conduit piping in Plant 3D. I'll work next on getting some conduit lines routed parallel to the cable tray that we just finished routing. On the left, I'll activate my conduit spec to get access to those components. First off, I'll start with a 10-foot maximum conduit route to begin with. One thing that you'll notice is that Plant 3D automatically adds in couplings between each conduit length. This is a feature that we enabled for use with ELECTROWorx in the Plant 3D Project Manager. Instructions on how to add these automatic couplings are included in the ELECTROWorx installer. I'm going to route conduit just slightly below this T so that I can continue this run. So I'll choose a 30-degree bend here to complete my path. I'm using the P key to change my plane while routing the conduit. After that major route has been placed, I'm going to select a conduit body that I can use to tee off this route and complete a route to one of my existing skids. Again, I'm using P to alter my existing route to be vertical. Then I'll use the F key to access all the fittings that this route is capable of supporting, namely all the conduit bodies that I have access to. I'm going to pick a Type E body to terminate this route and then place it and rotate it as well. And that is just a quick demonstration of the conduit routing in ELECTROWorx. One last comment on conduit routing. When it comes to the bends, there are a minimum radiuses that conduit should route to per NEC guidelines. With ELECTROWorx, we're also supplying a reference file that's going to alter your existing pipe bend settings in the project manager. What this file does is it controls what kind of radius the bent pipe will support, and this allows us to maintain the minimum radius requirements. It's an optional setting, so if you want to use your own radiuses, you can do that as well.